The following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
And I was like, yes, hi. I was so excited.
Oh, we get high. We get high again.
Okay, hi.
A guy get to a point and he asks you to marry him, he really wants to marry you.
Mm-hmm. He ready.
Like he really feels like, you know what, she's the one. She's the one.
You already getting the goods. You got to pay for it. Bring me the ring and get on one knee.
Okay.
Or two.
You need time to observe someone and really get a sense of how well do they treat you, how well do they handle adversity.
You're not the one because you don't have grit, the perseverance. You ain't really want me because you ready to give up. Because I said no. Nah, you shouldn't have asked. But since I said no, now it's your job to stay in the game and try to fight for it.
Boy on 5 Heartbeats, when you make the announcement you're going solo at the awards ceremony.
What up? And happy When I Shut Day. Welcome to the podcast about many topics from the perspective of 3 married couples. You are listening to us tonight, and we are so glad to be here with you all. As usual, you can listen to us on defylifepods.com, iTunes, Apple, all of the popular podcasts out there. Y'all, welcome to another show. Glad to be here. Glad that you came back to listen. We are just in show, 3 of season 2. Big ups to the crew. Y'all, and I don't know about y'all. Maybe this is just about me. I don't know. But when we started this thing, there wasn't really any expectations. I didn't have any. There was no real talk about, longevity, no real talk about goals, like specific goals. And so we just kind of went with it. And, I'm proud and grateful, where we've come. I think we've grown a lot, learned some things about each other, definitely, as individuals. I think as couples, too. Yeah, and so it's been cool. So thanks for hanging in there with us. And I think we plan on being here for, I don't know, a little while longer, y'all. So as long as you hang in with us, we'll hang in with y'all. And we just keep this thing going. So let's start, I don't know. Al, you ready? Let's start with Al, with our word of the day. How you doing, babe? What's going on?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good.
Good. What's up, co-host? Good to be here again, always. Hey, listeners. It's just good to be here. And so my word of the day is together. And just, I appreciate being together with y'all. I appreciate my clan, my crew, and it's just nice to belong. And it is something I don't take for granted, and just value belonging. So that's my word, together.
Together. Thanks, Al. And really, a lot of things have been going through my mind today. Earlier today, we had to put down our family dog.
Oh, man. Sorry to hear that.
And so...
terrible news, guys.
Thank you.
We have 2 dogs. One is... Thanks. One is my mom's dog. that she brought with her. And so, but he's been in our lives and has been with us for the past 6 years since she's been living with us. But anyway, Lincoln was 16 years old. And so we've had him for a long time, and he just gotten really just to the point where it was clear to us that his quality of life had declined to a point where we just felt that it was best to put him to rest. And so I went with him today, and when I made the appointment, they asked me, are you going to stay with him? And it took me off guard for a second, just kind of, oh my God, but I said yes, and I did. But it was one of those things that, but anyway, so, peace, Lincoln.
Yeah. I'm so sorry to you all. That's very difficult.
Thank you. He was a good dog.
Spreading my love to all of y'all. How's your mom? Is your mom good? Is she okay?
Well, she's okay.
Okay.
She's okay. And I can only imagine what that there were several times when she would liken her him vice versa in their aging process, comment on how he's not walking. Oh, Lincoln, your leg's not doing so good, just like mine, when he started to lose weight and she started to lose weight. Oh, our bodies are changing. They're a little lumpy now, Lincoln, not as smooth as they used to be.
So cute. Oh.
Stuff like that.
That's beautiful.
But I know that, I've heard enough to know that when you reach a certain age, or just as you get older in general, you think about mortality more and more, right? And as your friend and your family starts to die off and you're here. And so this is just, and I imagine that for some people, each time you think, you have that thought of your own mortality and you getting closer. And this is just another one of those losses that she's experiencing just as a result of, getting older, and someone who is close and as old. And I guess in human years, he's probably older than her at this point. But just losing more and more loved ones. But she's okay, and I know she's missing him already. It's the cutest thing. They did a paw print of him. It's a clay, so they give you a paw print as a memorabilia. So it's nice that she has that and didn't expect it. So I think that it was bittersweet when I handed it to her. But I was glad to be able to give that to her. So I say all of that to say that Al's word of togetherness just really made me think of family and spending time together and how important that is. Because of course, in moments like that, we think about, the fragility of life and our mortality and all of that. And so, every moment is important. So, but I'm glad that on tonight, because even as we were starting, I've brought down the mood a little bit, but we're going to get the energy back up. But I felt it when I got on. My word was going to be, I had a different. I was feeling very differently. But as usual, just being with you all, that just helps with lifting the vibrations and allowing me and each other to feel feed off of, the energy of each other. So, you know, it is what it is. And all right, we are going to go. Let's hit Ladine. Come on, Ladine. You pretty good about lifting the energy.
It always gotta be me.
It always gotta be you. Like sometimes, you know, sometimes it takes some of us a little longer to figure out one of our gifts and or purposes, right? I think that this is one of yours. And how important is it to walk in your purpose, right? And how important
come on.
Look, how important is it to have people around you in your circle that supports you and provides opportunities for you to walk in your purpose?
Oh,
I'm just saying.
I'm
so come on, what you got?
you understand.
What you got?
What do we got? All right. So today was a good day. I'm excited. Let's see. My word of the day. I didn't come prepared, but that's okay because I usually look to figure it out. I mean, I gotta make it through anyway. So let's see. Come on, Gina, you're killing me, Smalls. I'm not doing stuff. I'm not trying to stuff.
What is going on here?
It's the added pressure that's messing you up.
I bet Kita got her words today because she's jumping in and shit. But no. So I'm gonna go. I don't know if I've used this word already or not. I think I need to start keeping a tally of my words of the day. But I'm gonna go with consistency. For me, consistency is key in my life. It's something that I need. I'm not always consistent with the things that I take on or that I choose or that I think I'm choosing in the moment. And then I'm like, yeah, nah, son, I don't know if we could do that. But yeah, no. So yeah, I'm going to go with consistency because I've made like a pledge to myself just to be consistent with myself when it comes to my health. To my health goals. And I mean, I guess you can say all around in everything in life. I'm not one of those people that like to take so much on at once. I don't want to be busy all the time. That's not attractive to me. It just doesn't do anything for me. I'm one of those people that need to build up. Like, let me take this on, then let me take this on. Then if I find myself busy in the end, fucking A. But I don't look to do like all these things at once because I know I can't commit. I got to be honest with myself, right? So I'm going to go with consistency because I definitely know that it's an important piece for me. I know that it's something that I need to commit to for Ladine in my life. And yeah, I think consistency's pretty fucking A for today. How was that, Gina? Was that enough energy for you, boom? Huh?
Pretty fucking good for today.
Yes.
Thank you, lady. We're gonna keep it. Let's just keep the female energy going, and let's go to Kita. How you doing, Kita?
Hey y'all, I'm doing good. Definitely, Gina and Al, I'm definitely sorry to hear about the family dog, because definitely with the pups, you get so attached. They're just like family. I also wanted to touch base on family. My word is love. And yesterday I just came up with that. It's not a big word. It's a word you always hear.
Talk to boo. Bring the love.
And so the reason why is because I'm just loving my family right now. Like my sister, my brother, my cousins, just everybody, because we're just so amped. We're so ready to go, ready to see each other with this birthday trip. So we're so excited. We got this little friendly competition going on who's gonna be dressed the best. So it's gonna
Is
be
Pooh coming through? Pooh's
oh
coming through?
honey, he coming through. He done got him some McQueens. He just doing it up where I'm
Wow.
looking at him like, what's going on?
What's going on over there?
He loves the competition, but I'm just so excited to see my family and to have a good time this weekend. So I love y'all.
Nice, very nice. Represent Pooh. Represent, sir.
Okay.
You
Peter,
know,
who's keeping the babies?
My mom is actually gonna keep the baby. She's gonna come in tomorrow and take them to school on Friday. So she's gonna be super mom, and then gonna head to Charlotte to go to my nephew at my sister's house, and she'll keep him there.
Oh, because keep your nephew too. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Hi, Thomas.
Man, I don't
How
have
you
anything.
doing today, Thomas?
Hey, I'm doing well. How you guys doing? I don't have
Good.
anything too much tonight, man. I'm gonna hit the Urban Dictionary, man, and take it to Augusta, Georgia, man. Then I got B, and I'm gonna go with bleeding. And if you don't know what
I'm sorry. What is that?
bleeding,
Okay.
bleeding. Yeah, so
Bleeding. Okay.
yeah, if you're not too, accustomed to this, it's when you're extremely sleepy.
Yeah. See, I don't know about that because in New York we say it's bleeding outside. That means it's beyond brick ass freezing. So
See, but
bleeding
see,
for y'all is what? It's
see,
sleepy.
that's why I say I was taking it to Augusta, Georgia.
You definitely was.
He
Oh,
did
sorry.
say that. He did.
Yeah.
He did
Say
preface
that. I'm
it with
sorry.
that.
I
He
didn't mean to do
did.
you like that, Pooh, but you
Nah,
know.
you good.
I'm sorry.
You good. I'm taking it to Augusta, Georgia. My word is bleeding. I'm bleeding tonight, and I'm extremely sleepy. I was excited today about the first day of school, and I probably didn't go to sleep till about 3:30. But that's my word.
You wasn't going back to class, were you? Like, why are you so excited?
Man, I'm always kind of amped for the first day of school, and then I was at a new school, new position, new kids, and all kind of things. So it was pretty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Good stuff.
Okay. Good day, Teach.
Appreciate it.
All right, JR, bring us home.
No doubt. Congrats to my brother Pooh on the new position. Gina, Al, sorry to hear about the dog. And Pooh, Kita, safe travels. Y'all be safe, have fun.
Okay.
No doubt.
No doubt. My word of the day is kind of hyphenated. That's in my element. So, before the show, I kind of, like I said, I forgot it was Wednesday, and then I lost track of time anyway, because my boys came in and requested that they can hear some Patti LaBelle and Luther Vandross songs. So I was like, oh, sit down. We must do this. So I'm so grateful that my sons are kind of 90s kids. Like, they like my music, and, they kind of take lead on me, letting them hear new stuff. So Lincoln asked me who were my top 3 female singers of all time, like voice-wise. And Patti LaBelle was on that list. So he was like, oh. So he came in tonight, and they both wanted to hear some Patti LaBelle. So I kind of had to explain who she was and where else they might have seen her, most recently on the Old Spice commercial with Deion Cole. And they was like, oh, that's her? So I turned it on, and they were floored by her voice. And then, of course, who don't love Luther? So
Who don't love Luther?
Right. So Lincoln, at one point, a couple years ago, his favorite song was "Bad Boy Having a Party" by Luther. He didn't know who Luther was at that point, but I kind of had to tell him, like, yeah, that's who Luther. He was like, oh, that's Luther. I say so. Yeah, Lay had to get us off of YouTube so we could start the show tonight. But I'm grateful.
Come out there. I'm like, yo, what's really good? What we doing?
She was like, it's Wednesday. I was like, fuck you mean it's Wednesday? What they got to do with me? We listening to Patti and Luther right now. I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, oh, it's Wednesday. Okay, all right. So
and that's funny because I was wondering, because normally you on it like right at 9 o'clock, 8:59. And I'm like, all right, well.
Right.
I mean, and
Yeah.
even your late was, I don't know, 4 minutes, but it did cause pause. Like, what's happening? JR has not called yet.
Yeah. Sorry, you can blame Patty for that. But yeah. So yeah, so I was in my element, man. I love teaching my boys and showing them things and kind of, expanding their horizons of beyond, trap music and mumble rap. So, it's always good to, kind of, and Lincoln's kind of taking that too. And every now and then he'll force me to sit down and listen to, we have a listening session of what he's listening to right now. So it's cool because it keeps me one kind of up to date on my hip hop, and two, I always say if you have a conversation with somebody and they can't name 5 current rappers or 5 rappers from 30 years ago, either one, don't have that conversation with them. So I always try to remain as current as possible. So he returns the favor to me. So I was in my element today.
Love those moments, and these are moments that they will probably never forget, right?
Absolutely.
Will tell their children, about the time me and your grandfather sat down and listened to. We used to have this thing called YouTube. YouTube.
Okay, because
Right.
that's what it's gonna be then.
Mhm.
Seriously, that's what it's gonna be then.
That's what it's going to be. Good stuff. Good stuff. Thanks for indulging me, y'all. And I call it word of the day, and it really did start out that way about, that particular day, how you were feeling. And it's kind of morphed into different things, but that is okay, because the purpose is still being served, right? We
Right.
learn so much about each other just from sharing in these first, 10, 15 minutes of the show. And so we learn that's beneficial for us as a team. Some of this stuff we know, and some of the stuff, we don't know about each other, but it also gives you just a little peek into, a little bit more into our lives, some things that we may or may not mention at any other time in the show, right? So thanks for sharing with us, everybody. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got another great topic. I think I say that every Wednesday, right? But it's the
I
truth,
mean, come
right?
on.
Because every Wednesday we have like a great topic. Um, and again, this one is very relative, is relative to us as a crew. But to a lot of listeners we know have such situations in their families or having these conversations with their children, whichever it may be. And whether it's impacting you directly or indirectly, we hope that you are having these conversations with your children to help them to understand and to process and to be kind and all those sorts of things. So I'm going to turn it over to Al. I'm going to let him introduce the actual topic, a little bit of background and info, and, go ahead and do your thing, Al.
Thank you. I can't start without first just giving some props to the sharing of music and culture. I just think that's dope. Definitely flashback to my daughter, how proud she has been to be the one in her generation or be at a spot and know like a special ed song or
Yeah.
Audio 2 Top Billing or Slick Rick and Children's Story. And then even my son, to your point about the two-way relationship, Jay, like he definitely hit me to artists and songs, knowing, that I raised him right in terms of the culture with hip hop and knowing what I would appreciate. And so he'll point out some new cat and be like, trust me, Dad, this dude is spitting. You might want to check him out. And so definitely it is very, very cool.
No doubt.
So I think before we jump, I'll give the context of why we're talking about this tonight. So last week was in Florida talking with my brother, and just, whenever we get together, we have some really good conversations always, sometimes politically charged, sometimes we flash back into our childhood and just kind of reminisce. And so, particularly when with him, a lot of his childhood memories, he didn't have a pleasant childhood, and his it's very different from mine. I had besides the losing of my father, very interesting how our memories of our childhood are so different. So while I had a better childhood and my memories are more positive, his is really tainted on the fact that my father, my brother believes that my father knew he was gay from the age of 2. And because of that awareness of my father, really abused him physically, verbally, and from a perspective, I guess my father really thought that he could beat it out of him and could shame it out of him, could change him. And he did everything in his power whenever he could, my father, to let my brother know that he was not comfortable, he was not proud of who he was. And it was such a miserable experience that my brother experienced his childhood, that he was actually glad when my father passed away, was relieved, so that he could escape that treatment, that behavior. And so
Oh my God, hold on. Can you just pause for a second? Like, wow, like I'm over here and I'm just taking deep breaths. Like I had no idea. And that's a lot to process.
Um
I'm sorry.
no, this is it's real, and you're right. Like from his perspective, like and it went beyond just him, like even into the extended family, like my uncles, definitely, after, not all of them, but definitely some of them, mirrored my father's perspective and his beliefs, and let it be known that they didn't approve of my who my brother is and was, like, so that wasn't comfortable and really caused him to be estranged from the family at times. And there was even an incident where my mother had to step in and defend his right to be him and pulled us out of the family for almost a decade, where she was just on strike from the glimpse, and we missed family reunions, and it was totally her reaction to one of my uncle's interaction or his response to my brother being gay. And so out of that conversation and me and him, and reflecting back into his childhood, and then coincidentally, we talking about the One Eye Shut show and what we do and who we are and what we accomplish, and particularly coming out of that first episode where we acknowledged how there were people listening to us, right? So I was just kind of sharing, because I think he kind of asked how the show was going. And I mentioned that, there's people listening to us and we're having an impact, and that people missed us. And so then, as we continued to brainstorm and chat, it was, well, what do you think about taking that topic to your crew, to the show, and really talk about how, as parents, would we react if we suspected, if we knew our child was gay. And to Gina's point about that there are many parents, children who are dealing with this, I totally agree. And I think, in our, I think that's the purpose of the show, that we are to be who we are and share our experiences and share our perspectives, in hopes that it might resonate or connect with others out there. So that's the context of the topic for the night, the history behind it. So I guess my question to throw out there is, just to start there, how would we react if we knew or suspected, had an idea our child was gay?
Stevens, I think y'all should go first.
That's what you.
And we were the most lost couple on the show. Okay.
You want me to go
Well,
first?
yeah, you can go first. Go ahead.
I guess if I were having this conversation, let's say 15 years ago or 13 years ago, I guess my perspective will be totally different. Because at that point in time, my thinking, not gonna say I didn't understand, homosexuality, or not saying I didn't understand it, but I just wasn't receptive to it and didn't really, accept it, so to speak, until one day I'm chilling and hanging out, and I get a call, from someone, very, very, dear to me. And, and they're talking, and they were like, "Hey, Pooh, I got something to tell you." And I was like, "Oh, okay. What's good? Everything all right?" It was like, "Yeah, everything all right. I just want to tell you, that I'm gay." And I was like, "What?" And, he was like, I'm gay." And I was like, what you mean you gay? And, I just couldn't wrap my mind around it. I cried. I just really couldn't, I just couldn't believe it. I guess I had this homophobia at the time, and it was, and I couldn't distance myself, from him. It was the person that I, loved dearly. So it wasn't like I could just, send this person into exile. So, gradually, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, month by month, year by year, I began to, come to grips with it and accept it more and more, that it's, whatever that person or whomever it is identifies with, and if that's who they are, then that's who they are. And it took me a while to totally understand that, and not get a different, like, look at them with a different eye. Because now I see it and I don't see any, difference in it. So I guess if it would, if the conversation, or that were to happen to me, like in that perspective as a child or anything, of course, I mean, Dad loves you. I mean, you totally have to, accept it, and I'm going to support you no matter what. So that's where I stand with that.
It's pretty dope, Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Kita, what was that?
Can we get a little explanation on that?
Kita, what's going on? Where she went?
Oh, I'm sorry. He put it on mute for some reason.
Oh, okay.
He must have thought I was gonna say something. I will put it this way. My family, I'll say on my dad's side. So I would take it in exactly how my grandmother and my grand aunts and uncles kind of like, show the love and the support with their child. That's something that's in my family on my dad's side that we had a lot of. So we had a lot of cousins, and that end up liking the same sex. So it's something that we grew up with, So we didn't look at it as anything bad, because they all just treat them the same, basically. We just knew, they like the other sex, and they brought the boyfriend and girlfriend around. Now, needed to say, once they leave, how we talk or whatever, but it wasn't nothing bad. It was nothing that we show or or say that, is negative, is evil, like don't do stuff like that. We showed love. Like, we didn't have no problem. And to say, coming from my grandmother, who's like, they're 85, and like even her brother and her sister-in-law, all of them are in the 80s, going on 80. So that's love. So I don't have no problem with it, but I will say I don't agree with it now that I'm, have children. Not to say I don't agree with it. That's your thing. I would love to see my children marry a different sex, but if that's something that they want to do, I have no problem whatsoever. I'm just a strong person. You know how you have these parents now that I'll say, like, let's put a celebrity into it, like Gabrielle Union. She decides to clothe her daughter just in basic clothes. Don't try to clothe her daughter in like pinks, like yellows, or like girly stuff. I don't see that. I'm here to provide for my child. Like, I'm here to identify, like, you are a girl, you wear these things, but if you decide early on that you want to do other things, then that's on you. But I'm here to guide you, to tell you who you were born as a girl. You know what I'm saying? I don't want no confusion in that part.
Okay.
Yes. Y'all quiet.
So I didn't know that about Gabrielle Union though, and that baby, but it makes sense, right? Like, given the older child.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know his name. No disrespect, I just don't know his name. And the stance that they have taken with him, right? Like, it would make sense that we're doing this gender neutral kind of
Yeah.
thing
Mm-hmm.
with the baby. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for that bit of pop culture news for me. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Jr. and Ladine, where do y'all stand?
Go ahead, babe.
You want me to start this?
He passed it to us
He
real quick.
passed it to me real quick. All right. Well, okay, so this is actually something that we have experienced, and we did receive permission from our child to speak on this. So, Ladanian, I didn't want to say his name, but it's okay. He's okay. And everybody knows our kids' names. But so yeah, Ladanian, he had come to us, and he's very proud of who he is and what he believes and what he stands for. And God, that baby just makes me like so proud that it doesn't matter who feels what, this is the way he feels, and he just stands in his power and in his greatness very well. And I'm so grateful for that. So about, was it 2 or 3 years ago, Jay? Maybe 2? Or is it 3 already? I want to say probably maybe 2 or let's just say 2 years ago,
About
2.5 years ago. Ladanian, he came to me. JR was actually doing the Defy Life podcast. And Ladanian comes in the room and he lays next to me, as he usually always does. My children, I'm a very loving mom. I show a lot of affection. So he comes, lays down next to me. He's like, Mommy, I want to talk to you about something. And so I said, okay, what's going on? And he said, Mommy, I think I like boys. I like boys and girls. Or excuse me, he said, I like girls and boys. I'm like, oh, I wasn't expecting this conversation,
Right.
At that point, he was maybe 11, because this was before he was 12, right, Jay? So yeah, so he was probably 11 at this point, and I definitely was not expecting this conversation, completely not prepared. I had no idea what to say. Right. And I am like, horrible jokester. I have that I laugh in serious situations. Like it's all bad. So I was like, oh, I really didn't know how to react. So, I was very calm and I said, okay, baby, well, how do you think that? Or do you know that? And he said, well, I think I'm bisexual. And I said, okay, well, do you know, I think maybe that's how he started the conversation. And I said, okay, well, do you know what that means? And he's like, yeah, it means that I like boys and girls. And I'm like, okay. And he said, but I definitely think I like boys more than girls. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't really know what to say. So I just started asking him questions. And I'm like, well, do you know what boys do? And I mean, and he's like, yeah. I'm like, so daddy already explained to you what boys and girls do, right? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, do you know what boys do with each other? And he was like, I think so. And so I kind of had to break it down to him, like what goes down. And so, his eyes were open, his eyes open wide. And he was like, oh, I don't know, I don't know, mommy. I don't know. And I'm like, okay. So, for me, it was a little difficult to navigate just because and I think in this day of time and in this day and time, I think there are a lot of children that may be confused because there's so many different type, which I mean, I don't even know all the names of, as far as my children try to school me all the time on binary and non-binary and asexual and pansexual. And I'm like, what? When I was when I was younger, you either liked boys and it was either homosexual or heterosexual, and that was it. Like there wasn't all these names and titles and identities. And we just wanted to make sure that whatever he was coming to us with and whatever he decided was because this is really who he is and what he chooses, not to be a fad, not to be not to try to fit in anything like that. And so, throughout the time that he has told us, we've definitely gone into, more extensive conversations. The first conversation, I'll let Jay finish that when he talks, because I finished speaking with my son, of course, and and I told him, I said, baby, no matter what you are, no matter what you do in life, we're mommy and daddy, we love you, we're always going to be here for you, we accept you for who you are. And oh my God, the tears were just like rolling. It was insane. I have tears in my eyes right now, even thinking about it. I was grateful that there's a couple of things. I don't do everything right, y'all. And even in our marriage, being that this is a marriage podcast, like JR and I do not have it all together. We're clear. People know us, know that's clear. Our listeners can probably tell that that's clear, but the one thing we do really greatly together is parent very well together. And I'm grateful to him for that, because that is one team that we handle very well. And so I was able to talk to him, and just give him re-encouragement. And then I'll let Jay, explain what he said. But throughout the years, well, throughout this time, we just wanted to make sure that he was aware, that gay people, the LGBTQ community has gone through a lot, and they have, fought wars to be respected and accepted, or to even allow themselves to be seen. And just so that he's clear that if this is what you want, we're cool with it, yo. We're fine. But don't do this as a fad. You know what I mean? Or if this is you, fucking A, it's you, and we're glad. But this is something very serious. And speak to him about some of the struggles and the troubles that he will face. And so it was hard. I still find it to be a little difficult. I want to say supporting him in navigating life. Just because there's so many different things that have happened since then. He wanted to wear his rainbow stuff and go to school, and he had some rainbow pins and some rainbow shirts, and there were kids in the school, and he didn't tell us this until after school's over. But there were kids in the school that when he would that when he would walk into the bathroom, they would run out and be like, "Oh, watch it, because there's this fucking faggot," or whatever they would say. And then one kid actually pushed him into the urinal while he was peeing. And then it got to the point where so he started using the bathroom in the stall, and they would bang on the door while he was in the bathroom. And so just things that we wish he would have came to us to tell us, but he felt like if he did tell us, that he would just be bullied even more. And so just and that's the kind of stuff that, as a mom, as a parent, you want to protect them from that.
Right.
And so that was like a lot of what our conversations were about, like, Papi, are you okay with this or that? I mean, and oh my God, it was a lot. Like Keita was saying before in regards to like what to wear and what to do. So, I have some family members that are gay, and I've had to, and I had to sit down with him and explain to him, like, as a mom, as a parent, it's my job to protect you. And it scares the shit out of me that there are so many ugly, hateful people on this planet that won't accept him and will hate him immediately, just because of what he chooses in his personal or sexual life. And so I definitely I just had to give him different examples of people and males and explain to him, if you like certain, you don't necessarily have to dress in drag, or you don't have to talk like a female, or be like, there are very masculine men out there also, that are gay, and they just prefer to sleep with men, and that's okay. And so maybe I was wrong for saying these things to him. I don't know. I didn't know how to fucking handle this, right? But I did tell my son, I said, I gave birth to a little boy. I gave birth to a son, and I don't care what you choose, but I just want you to be firm and, be strong and stand in the fact that you are a man, and whatever else you choose, that's fine. Because I was afraid of these things that were already happening, and I didn't know. But go ahead, Jay. I'll let you elaborate a little more.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the first thing, because of course, we were actually on the show when, again, like they said, when on the Defy Life show, when her and Ladine had that conversation. So by that time, and it's funny because I think recently before that, so when Keon was still on the show, and we'd had that conversation. Y'all remember that? When me, Pooh, and Al, and Keon, and that's what Keon kind of got the name, Caveman Keon, because of the things. Because every view he has is kind of old school. So my first thing to Ladanian was really just like, I didn't want him to think I was shocked, because like I remember talking to Darren, and Darren saying, given when he came out to Don, and Don was like, okay, so like I already knew that. Like, you ain't really giving me no shocking news. And so I didn't want Ladanian to think that like I was shocked, because I know you. I've, I'm the only father you know. So it's not like, I've never had my, like my thoughts, and I've never had, it's like suspicions. Like, I know you, kid. So it's not a shock. But first and foremost, know that, as your father, it's my job. I love you, but it's my job to protect you. So, whatever it is, as long as you ain't hurting nobody, I rock with you. Because that's, for one, that's how I'm wired. I don't think I've ever, like had like any kind of mixed feelings about somebody because they were gay. It just never, like, never like creeped into me to like hate somebody because they were gay. It just didn't. So especially to my own child, and so I kind of had to explain to him that for one, not everybody's going to think like me. So be prepared for an ugly world. Outside of that, the world is ugly enough. But there are people who are going to make it uglier for you. But I always got your back. But two, be sure. And like Lay said, kids today have so much access to things, and titles are always being thrown at them. And they're in such a hurry to be labeled as something so they can belong to something, that a lot of them take on these titles and these labels just so they can feel like they're a part of something. So I kind of had to explain to him that, like, one, you're 11. You're not even sure what you are right now. It'll be maybe not saying that your feelings are disingenuous, but trust me, you got a lot of growing to do. A lot of things are going to change. So don't get stuck in this label right now. Just grow and be who you're going to be. And then also, like,
JR said, may I, Jay? Interject here. So JR had said something to him that was great. I loved it. He said, you might want to wait until you get, just wait. We're not telling you, what to like and what not to like. He said, but you'll know whether you like boys or girls when you can't get up from your desk at school because you got a hard on. Because whatever it is, male or female walked by and you're interested. You know what I mean? Or you're digging it. That's how you'll know. When your manhood rises up for whatever, that's how you'll know. How about you wait till then to decide if you're saying that you don't know or that you feel you might like both. And that was pretty dope when he said that. There was something else you said to him, Jay. Oh God, I can't remember what it was. I know it was about the titles, and it was about basically you're born as a Black and Hispanic man. In this world, in this country already, we know that those things are incredibly powerful and beautiful, right? But in this country, those are two titles that are looked down upon. And so you're just giving yourself more titles and more identities and responsibilities before you're even aware of what you want. So, we really tried a lot of different angles just because we didn't know, honestly. We did not know how to handle that conversation, but we knew that we wanted to be supportive.
Right. And, like, I also kind of had to explain to him that, as boys, and especially as Black boys, we are not taught to embrace our feminine side, right? We're not our softer side. So when we grow up, God forbid, two little Black boys are seen hugging or saying I love you. Like that like, oh, y'all gay. You know what I'm saying? We're taught to shun those kind of things. And then especially as you grow and you get friends and you genuinely love these people. And so you start to question, like, every little boy goes through this. When you start to question, okay, what does this mean? Like, I love my friend. What does that mean? And,
that was dope when you said that to him.
And so, like, you're going to have questions and you're going to not have shit figured out. Some people don't figure that shit out until they're well into adulthood. So don't rush to have all the answers because you're not going to have them. It's weird to me that, like, I get off the phone with my friends now or like, I get off the phone with, like, Pooh now. And if I'm around even my sisters, and I make sure in every call with my brothers, Al, with Pooh, with anybody, what I love you. And we always do. But I remember one time my sister saying, and this was last year, saying, I love how y'all, I love that you tell your friends that you love them. And it's dope that she said that, but it doesn't have to be dope because that should be normal, So it's weird to me that it's abnormal for two men to say I love you openly. because of that stigma. So it's just kind of had to explain to him. There's always going to be shit attached. Don't rush to give yourself more labels for people to attach stigmas to. So.
Yeah, and it's funny that JR said that he already knew because, for me, I always thought, okay, so Hispanic men are definitely a little more feminine, I believe. Well, I'll say in my experience, most Hispanic men are more feminine than your average male. I think they're a little more metrosexual. They take care of a couple little things a little extra more than other men do. They just do. And I think that in general, Hispanic men are a little more in touch with their femininity than other men. Would y'all agree? Well, I mean, I don't know if you agree or not, but so when
You talking about the machismo? You talking about the machismo guys?
Well, no, because those machismo guys be a little bit too much. But a lot of if it comes to the eyebrows, if it comes to, just Hispanic men in general, I think they are a little more feminine. So when he, displayed or some of these behaviors, I'd be like, this kid, like, I always knew he was a little more feminine, period. Especially after, well, really, I did not know until after I had Lincoln. And, and as they were growing up together, and Lincoln was just such a boy. And Ladine was too, though. He was in the dirt, always outside, like all types, but he had a little more of a feminine side. Like he would play in the dirt and whatever, but he was coming inside to shower. You know what I'm saying? Like it was going down. But Lincoln was definitely more of a macho man than Ladanian was. So I just choked that up to being more Hispanic. So yeah, but I think, but was it a shock? No. Like as it's so crazy, like as we were sitting there in the conversation and we're talking to him, you know how that happens where flashes just come into your mind about different instances and occurrences that have gone on. And I'm like, yeah, bitch, you already knew this. Like, I don't even know why you're questioning this right now. So, yeah.
Yes, parents know their babies, and despite how much they think that they're hiding from us, they just pick up on it. So kudos to you two for supporting him in the way that the way that you are.
And I really think the reason why he didn't come to us, and especially me, when kids at school had shit to say, he probably knew he was saving me from a jail sentence. Because I would have took my ass up to that school and threatened somebody's child, and then threatened their father, like, I'm gonna fuck your kid up, and if your kid do it again, I'm gonna come find you and I'm gonna fuck you up. So that's probably what he was saving us from, because he knew that.
Yeah, and he knows this crazy Puerto Rican bitch. That school already had enough of me. Okay, so it'd have been a whole problem. But okay.
Thank you, Ladanian, for saving your parents.
Thank you
from that. And then JR and Ladine, I just want to encourage you now that you have acknowledged that is who you are and how you probably would have responded. And there'll probably, unfortunately, be something else that happens that, somebody else, has some undesirable behavior towards the Danian.
Right.
Just think and breathe before you go into the school, and, remember that that's your instinctive reaction, and, perhaps rethink.
Yeah.
Rethink that before you go into the school.
Right. At that point, I did have to kind of, heed my own advice, and I actually had to have a talk and seek some wisdom from my big cousin Darren. So that helped a lot.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because I don't even think everyone in our lives really know. Because it's just, and it's not that it's something that we're ashamed of or embarrassed of at all. It's just that the topic just really hasn't come up. And you know what I mean? So for any of our friends or family that are listening and you might not know, please don't take it as, you weren't important enough to tell. Like it's just not part of one of our conversations, I guess, So... Yeah,
no, I feel you. Like honestly, having known my brother is gay for 35 years. That's not something that I walk around just talking, just like I don't talk about Don's sexuality. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, it's not, I don't, but I don't, when it came to a point where my brother was okay with me, like, I don't care, you tell, then if someone asked, I would tell, but I'm not, it's just not part of how I describe him. Hey, hi, I went up to see my brother, the gay one. That's just not
Right.
how I
Right.
do it. Yeah. So I get that. I hear you on that one.
Yeah.
Plus, there's also, and I'm not speaking for you two, but just generally speaking, because I know that particularly as parents, but just for people in general that you love, there's this, you have this instinct to protect them. And so those things that or you believe that may hurt them in some way, you're not going to readily give that information or do that thing or whatever. So if there's a chance that this information to this particular person, even, whether it's that specific or just generally, you just kind of, shy away from that. I mean, even in the case of Darren, and I know that he is has been out of the closet and has been open for decades now. But if it comes up in one of my conversations, my first thought is, why are we talking about this? You know what I mean? So I just go straight into protective mode, like, what is the motive behind this person wanting this information? Because again, it's just something, depending on the circle, people can use the information to hurt you. So.
Yeah, and I definitely want to shout out Darren because he is one of probably, I think, maybe one of the first people we told in the family, right? And just asking him for some insight and advice on how to support him. And he was incredibly supportive. So
And
shout out to you,
continues to be.
Darren. We love you. Yes, he does. Yes.
Yes, very supportive. Um, and so it has been very much a part of our lives in terms of um, helping our children to understand or to be accepting um, of gay people, right? We've always been able to use Darren as an example, if we've ever, needed to. So because of Darren, because of there's a few other um, lesbians. I'm not sure if there are any males, but definitely a couple of lesbians on Al's mother's side of the family. And so our children have learned about, like it was an open conversation for us always because, I wanted to make sure that they understood that it didn't matter, right? And we're better to start than with your family. So I've had all these examples that we could use to help teach them about being accepting of other people. So yeah, I don't know. I we don't have I don't know, direct experience, I guess. Neither one of our children have expressed being gay or liking the same sex. But I believe and I know that it would not have been an issue for me. It just doesn't matter, it just doesn't matter. And I hope and believe that our children believe that when we say that. I remember Al, well, I won't say her name because I don't know what her situation is, but when Adea was in elementary school, there was a little girl who was clearly gay. Um, Clearly. And I remember she was one of Adea's friends. And so this was probably maybe second grade. And I remember having the conversation with Adea, like, okay, so, I don't know for sure, but I think there's a pretty good chance, that she is. And so Adea, in her Adea way, was, I don't care. I'm like, yes, I'm glad that you don't. But the purpose of the conversation, and I told her, I said, but people are not going to be nice to her. There are going to be times when people are not going to be nice to her, and you are her friend, and so we went through the whole what her responses should be and what her role is as her friend and as a human being, right? It does not matter, and you do not participate, and you stand up for her, and blah 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 blah. So I hope and believe that they would come to us and be able to be comfortable enough to share that with us. But and it doesn't matter, and I hate to see it. Even this same little girl that I'm talking about, her mother was in denial for years, through high school, and it was by then she was out at least to her friends. And her mom and everyone else knew, but her mom was no. I mean, they're 16 years old and we're in the store and she's trying to buy her baby bras, like, and she's like, but she doesn't want to wear these. She only wants to wear sports bras. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, well, stop buying her these lacy bras. Like, come on already. Like, stop. Uh, but we know a lot of people just don't accept. But I just don't think that would be our case. Al,
I have forgot about that situation, and yeah, it definitely played a role in all of our development. I think the crazy thing, as I think about that time, though, you know, we've known for so long. I can remember when we were, I guess Adele was in her young teens, and the friend would want to spend the night, and what will go through my mind is like, yeah, but that would be like, if she's interested in my daughter, that would be like having a dude spend the night. Like, I don't know about that, son. And like, so just having to process some of those.
yeah, that was a little tricky.
Yeah, it was like, how do we handle this, right? So that just kind of came to mind. But definitely, I agree. It just doesn't matter, and um, that's where I'm at now, and I feel like that's where I've been all of my children's life. But it is an evolution, honestly, because um, growing up with my when my brother told me, I wasn't like Don. I was shocked. There's years in between me and him, so not so much disappointment type shock, but just more like, oh, wow, wow, okay. But you dated girls. Like, that was kind of what went through my mind. Like, how did that happen? But okay, whatever. Um, it's whatever. I love you, you're my brother, and it's not a issue to me at all. But I don't think. I think at that time it was more how a lot of people think, where it's like, well, it's not really an issue because I love you, but not really accepting beyond him, like just people. And it was just more, I'm gonna accept you, but honestly, I still kind of have some feelings about it generally. But because you my brother, we cool. But I think it was really going off to college and being around, having classmates, having people I was cool with who were in the closet at the time, was struggling with it, and being able to connect their experiences with my brother's experiences, and growing more empathetic to people generally, and not just my brother. And then being, I guess, a student leader on campus, having the opportunity to interact with organizations that dealt with the LGBTQ, that I always get that.
Just stop. That's how you get into
LGBTQ.
trouble.
Right.
Okay,
Get it right.
those
Or
organizations.
don't say it at all. One of the two.
Look, don't tell me how to. Don't tell me how to
I'm
speak
just.
on my motherfucking podcast. That's not gonna.
Okay.
That's not.
It's a mere suggestion, boo.
I heard it, but we're gonna keep rocking. So the working with those organizations and kind of not just those organizations, but Jewish organizations, Latino organizations, Asian organizations, women organizations, helped me just grow in terms of understanding that perspective as a 19, 20-year-old. And so I think by the time I'm a father, I've really grown from when my brother first came out to me. And I think so my kids have seen a different Alvin when it comes to this type of issue. And so I thank Darren for that. And I think just life and just being able to be more open to just loving and accepting people for who they are, as I've wanted the same for myself, that people would just love me and accept me for who I am and not judge me on my choices. But it is sad to some of the comments and hearing the experience of Ladine and the bullying and what people have to experience, because this homophobia shit is real.
Right.
And the violence on people for who they choose to be with is real. And I mean, it's like you see shit like this in Atlanta quite often, and it's fucking ridiculous. And the fact that, you know, we can't just see people for their greatness and, you know, not worry about silly shit that don't matter is a problem. And even, you know, so listening to my brother talk about his experience with my father and how my father, you know, in many ways, my brother exemplified what my father was all about. He was a hard worker. He was obedient. He went to school. He didn't skip classes. He was a Boy Scout. He got good grades. Like,
Follow the rules.
he followed the rules, right? He was in many ways exactly what my father wanted in his first son, except the fact that he, you know, knew my brother was gay. And that is what like fueled his engagement and his interaction with my brother. And, you know, I think it is a sign of that time. You know, I think it was definitely a prevailing sentiment, definitely at least what I was exposed to. And it just hasn't totally got itself out of our society and our world. But I look at my experience as a father, and, you know, so here's a question I have, like, well, first let me tell the story. So my son at one point, and as a teenager, early teenager, comes home and is like, I want to go trick or treating and I want to dress up as a girl. Like, and it was like, what? He's like 7th grade, 8th grade, and he's like, I want to dress up as a girl. And it's like, okay, like, tell us more, right? Like, what do you mean dress up as a girl? He's like, I want to put makeup on, wear a wig, like dress, the whole nine. And I really had to, because honestly, you know, you talk about how do you deal with this. It was definitely a moment of, I don't really know how I'm supposed to react right now.
I forgot about that.
I'm gonna keep asking questions, right? And so it was definitely a question of like, so is this you trying to tell us something? Request?
Great.
Or what? You know, like trying to delve deeper into it. And he was like, no, my friends dared me. I'm like, that's it? He's like, nah, they dared me that I wouldn't do it. And I'm like, okay, all right, then go ahead, you know, do what you do. And so he then, you know, works with his sister, gets the makeup, the wig, the whole nine, like look like a dare. Like that's how much he went in on this dare, right? So
That's so great. I love him for this.
So I drop him off to his friends because I'm like, was he bullshitting me? Or so I want to see the reaction of his friends when he get out, like just to see what this really was about. And when he gets out, I like literally watch to see what happens. And his boys are like, "Oh snap! Wow, you did it! Like I can't believe you did it. He actually did it." And I was like, "Huh? Okay, that really was it about. That's wow." And kind of like had a definitely a sense of respect for the willingness to be that bold, the the um the I don't give a damn type, that attitude, that energy. And I also can say that I'm very proud of him because he is an advocate, a fierce advocate for that community in terms of the gay community. And while I would like to say that we have raised our children to be accepting of all, like he done taken it to the nth degree. Like he took that into I'm gonna take it to another level and like will not be in a room and allow a comment to go by without it being challenged. Will not be in a room and allow somebody to be bullied and he won't stand up. Like that's who he is in this world. And I'm extremely proud of him for that to take it to another level and just understand that that's the place he wants to rock in this world and to walk in that purpose. So,
And kudos to him for that, man. Like,
so here's my question to y'all then.
Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut y'all off.
no,
Go ahead, JR.
I was just saying kudos to him for that, especially at such a young age when sometimes it's not cool to stand up and and give a voice to somebody who may not have a voice. I always say as well, shouts out to Lincoln for being so supportive of his brother, because a lot of times at a young age siblings get shunned because they're different per se. So shouts out to Al, shouts out to Lincoln, shouts out to everybody who's an advocate for someone who may be feel like they're different. So just wanted to give kudos to Al for that.
Yeah, and I
And
have to say, I'm sorry, Gina.
go
I
ahead.
was I was just gonna say, I have to say, I know that in the beginning when we sat down with them together and Ladanian was explaining, to Lincoln what was going on with him. Um, I I do think Lincoln was a little perturbed at first, and he didn't show it. It was, I want to say, over the course of like the next couple of weeks and months where Ladanian was being very boisterous about what he chooses. And I think that, it was a little embarrassing to Lincoln at first, as far as what Ladanian was choosing. And I think that this last year of them being together, home, doing school from home, and just being able to spend a little more time with each other, I think that has really made a difference, a huge difference in their relationship. And I gotta say, I'm grateful to COVID for that. Really.
That's good stuff because that's super important, right?
Yeah.
Your sibling is like your best friend. At the end of the day, it's going to end up being your best friend.
Yeah.
So that's real cool. And so I just want to add, just echo what Al said. Super, and JR too. Super proud of all of these children. Little Alvin is he really is a human rights advocate, right? So he goes fierce for, the gay community, and I think that stands out because that is, just a common topic. But anything human rights, like he is like, no, that is bullshit, and yeah, no, not today. And it's so funny because and as I watch him with his little body and his big little Alvin has always had the biggest heart, right? And even as like when he did the football thing, and I would be so, afraid of, because of his size, and Al would always talk about why he would be okay or why he's able to play because of how tough his heart was, whatever. And so it really stands out now, even as, as an adult. So kudos to you, little Alvin. Proud of you. So Al, you said you had a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to probe a little bit. So, because the comment as Ladine was talking and they were telling the story about Dane wearing the rainbow clothes to school, and then it flashed back to that's kind of how I thought about Alvin and his story and dressing up. And I guess I just thought about, is from a parent perspective, is there limits? Are there, maybe is it an age appropriate thing? Like, just kind of, um, how would I have felt if Alvin wanted to do that at the family reunion? How would I have wanted, like, if just, I don't know, just pushing that envelope a little further, just kind of just curious to hear the group. Are there any limits, or is it just we are all down for whatever?
So is the support conditional? No, that's not really the question.
Not really conditional.
I was being facetious.
Right.
I'm just
Yeah,
joking.
definitely not conditional, but is it?
But yeah, it's funny because, and then I'm sitting here, I'm like, is this man in my head again? And that's one of the questions that I wrote down, right? And so it's, what does support look like, right? Like, how far are you willing to go? Is it everything that they want to do? Do you do a Dwayne Wade?
Wade, yeah.
Right? Do you do a Dwayne Wade and support his son, the way that he did in terms of dressing like a female, hormonal kinds of things? Do you go in like that? Or is it just like Al said, just kind of, I can support here, but I'm not quite ready for this over here?
Thomas's.
Me personally, I wouldn't.
I keep calling y'all the Thomas.
I know the Thomases. That's okay.
Yeah.
Gina over here.
Y'all,
this is not funny.
I don't know why Thomas's, but she got it in for y'all tonight. Y'all a target.
That's a really good question. That is a really good question. And I'm gonna be very upfront that me personally, I don't think I would go that extra. I wouldn't be that supportive. And not saying that I have a reason for it.
I love you, Gina.
I mean, I'm being real. Like, I'm here to be transparent. So,
and that's fine, Keita, because you know what? That word supportive, it's a loaded word, right?
It's really loaded.
So, yeah.
And so, I mean, it can be even with a child that, maybe want to dress weird or whatever the child may do. I'm like, no, like, we're going to the family reunion. This is what you're wearing. We got to look good as a unit. You know what I'm saying? I don't want people to be talking about us, even though I don't really care what people say, but I don't want to be the topic of discussion. Basically. I just feel like once you're out of high school and you've become like 18 years old, then you can do whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? It just feels like I'm more like old school. Like, if you're in my house, then this is what you like. This is who you like, which is fine. But I just don't feel like you have to go and dress all wild and you have to show off and do all this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to do all that for people to love or appreciate or whatever you're trying to get attention for.
So are you saying, Keita, that if this were your child and if this was y'all's situation and your baby is 19, sure, 20 years old, like, whatever, and now we go into the family reunion, right? And he I'm apprehensive about using like the wrong terminology and stuff because I know
I
how important
understand.
Yes.
that is, right? So I'm just like,
They
I think I can say cross dress, right? Like I don't know, but
Yes,
y'all know
you
what
can
I'm trying
say
to
that.
say, right?
I think you can say that. Yes.
So you know that your son, let's say, is a
Hmm.
cross dresser. Like you're not going to. Would you have a conversation with him about showing up at the family reunion in a dress?
hold on,
Or
No, because
the
you just put an age on it. You just said
right
19.
now I'm saying yes, right.
So 19 and 20, I have no problem because you're grown basically.
So
You're out of my house.
you
But
okay
if
with being a
they're
topic of conversation at the family reunion when he's 19, but not when he's
but
12?
not when he's still precious. No.
When he's precious.
When he's still precious, no, I don't want that to be the topic of discussion. Then I may be going back and forth with someone. It's just not a good look.
Right.
So I just feel like when they're still trying to learn and learn themselves and just that's even with a child that's not gay and he's just trying to figure out what to wear or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I just want them to still be precious, still be a child. Um, and like how Dwayne Wade and them doing it, they're making the child put on like wear wigs and shoes and stuff. I just feel like
Making? Do you think it's making or they're allowing?
I mean they're allowing. That's what I
Okay.
would say.
Okay.
Allowing, which I just feel like, just calm it down a little bit. Just go to school. Know this is what you like to do, but you just don't I just don't support it while they're still young. That's
Mhm.
just me.
Okay.
Thomas.
Thomas.
Thomas Stevens.
Yeah. That's that's a tough. I guess that's a tough one. I mean, extremely young. They're definitely fragile, and I do want to try to be super dad and save them from, I guess, excessive heartbreak when the psyche and everything is so fragile at that young age with like the bullying and like I had a kid at my school to commit suicide because he couldn't handle it. And I just and some are different, some more different, some more able to handle it. But I guess I would try to cradle and keep that refuge around him for as long as possible.
Mhm.
Him or her as long as possible. So of course I would have the conversation and I mean that's just so tough. I just frankly got to go ahead and say I don't know. I really and truly don't know.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. It's a hard one because even talking and Keita is talking about the preciousness of it, and Thomas, you said when they're young, I started thinking like, okay, so what about those situations where the baby is 5, or you hear
Mhm.
those stories where the baby is 4 and 5 and 6 and know and feel and believe like with everything in them that I like this same sex, or I'm the wrong sex, or I feel like a boy and I was born a girl, like all that kind of stuff. Like and again, it's not necessarily for anybody to answer, but this is just what was going through my mind. Like, what are the answers here, right? So, do we, Keita, to use your word, do we protect the preciousness of this child and force this baby girl to wear dresses, even though she's fighting and screaming about wanting to wear,
Mhm.
it is just like, oh my God, like what do you do? Like what is the answer in any of these? So what does more harm, right? Forcing this baby to be something that at least that baby believes that he's not, or letting that child be who he or she is or believes that he or she is and face the hardships out there. Like who know, like it's a lot. It's too much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Agree.
So, Glimpse, what do you guys think about the support? question on the floor is, how much support? What does support look like? What does that mean?
Yeah, like Pooh said, like I would like to think I would know how I would react, but we don't really know because it's such foreign territory. And again, I would look at that like he does, even if it's a child that's not gay for any reason, as long as like when you're old enough and you're mature enough to fight your own battles, you make your own decisions. But it is age appropriate, and I would look at that no differently than if Lincoln came to me and said, "Hey, Dad, I'm a Chiefs fan. I ain't gonna take him to a Raiders game, like, because I know what can happen." So if he can make his own decisions and fight his own battles, I think that comes with age and that comes with maturity. So I would kind of have to I would have to pull rank and make an executive decision. Like, nah, we ain't doing that on this go round. Like, it's the family reunion. Put that suit on, sir.
Right.
I mean, it's a way you can do it too. Like, if you want to wear a T-shirt at the family reunion, which is fine, but don't go cutting it up, have your chest out, or flip it up. You go ahead and just wear you some cute little girl sandals. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's fine.
Nah, he coming in a dress with lipstick, makeup, wig, and stilettos. This is the banquet. What are you talking about?
Right.
I'm looking good.
Yeah, I don't. This is very interesting. It's interesting the difference in what I get to experience with the boys versus sometimes what Jay gets to experience. And you don't always get to communicate everything with each other, right? Depending on our schedules or whatever's going on. And so Ladine did come to me at one point, and he did tell me that he wanted to try makeup. And I was like, wait, what? And he said, I mean, I just want to try it. And there's a famous gay gentleman out there that he owns a makeup line, and it's a pretty dope makeup line. And he was like, he dresses like a boy. He's a boy. He's like, he wears makeup. And I'm like, so you want to try? And he said, yeah. I said, Ladine, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, if you want to try makeup, maybe for like your 16th birthday, I'll take you to the MAC counter, but you're still too young for that. If you were a girl, I wouldn't let you wear makeup right now. So just because you're choosing something different doesn't mean I'm going to let you put makeup on.
Right.
And so, it's those things. I mean, it's even down to like social media and stuff where I got to like put the pause on them. Like, I don't even want you to have these different forms of social media. And yeah, it for me, it is somewhat of a protection thing. I mean, he was getting bullied on Snapchat. There was like, private conversation of like 18 kids talking shit about Ladanian on Snapchat, and he didn't even have Snapchat. So it's things like that, yeah, I do feel that I need to, it is a very thin line, because it's like, as a parent, yes, we definitely want to protect him, but then, you also don't want to hold them back from being their full them and who they are. But then it's like, but do they know who they are at this age? So there's just so many layers to this shit and so many different levels, and it's like, where do you draw that line? He even he wanted to buy a crop top because crop tops are in for men now, apparently, and he had to show me all these, because I'm like, ain't no man wearing no crop top, puppy. That's not happening. And so then, I had to explain to him, like, the reason why I don't want you to wear that crop top is because you don't got a crop top body right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and nah, you're not gonna wear the crop top to the brothers football game. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not doing that right now. So it's just different thing. And I hate being that person, and I don't want to do that to him. I want him to be able to express himself through his clothing or through whatever, because that's a lot of these kids these age, that's some of the only ways that they get to express themselves. And so just it's been a lot. I do think JR and I are doing our best, but there are different. I do think that there is a limit that we put on them, because of what we are afraid that they may or may not experience.
And like, there's a time and a place for everything. Like, if Ladanian's got a chorus concert, I ain't gonna let Lincoln wear his football uniform up in there. No, you dress appropriately. So you can go wear a crop top to your brother's football game. Like, that's crazy. Like, if you was a 14-year-old, my daughter, you ain't wearing a crop top to your brother's football game. So it ain't got nothing to do with that. It's not appropriate.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to offer you, Ladine, just a different perspective, right? So it's not so much hindering or hampering who he is, but it's really about just teaching him about what's appropriate or what's not, because of where you are or where you're going, or, because of the situation, because everything is not appropriate for every situation.
Right.
And so, and some of it is just going to be about, it's not a good idea because of the protection piece, right? Like,
yeah,
it's just some things that you just probably shouldn't do. But we've been on for a minute, but before we run out of time, I do want to give Ladine and JR the opportunity to talk about how you dealt with the bullying situation, right? Because whether or not you did the right thing or it turned out however, like, I just think it's important for other parents who might be going through it to hear just an option, and even maybe, JR, the advice that you were given from Darren, that it might be helpful to somebody out there. Because whether it's bullying is bullying, right? So whether it's because your child is gay or because your child wore an orange shirt to school today, like, parents are often at a loss at what to do and how to deal with it. So if you could just tell us your experience.
Well,
and I know it was after the fact, but you talked about the stuff was after the fact. But even then, because there are lots of parents who are not finding out things until after the fact. But either way, just talk a little bit about what happened, what y'all did, like, I don't know, something.
Well, so I guess for me, something I've always been very afraid of. I remember when they were much younger, there was a story. There was a little boy in Atlanta, and he was jumped and killed at a party in high school. And I mean, I saw it throughout life. Kids getting jumped. I got jumped one time. So I was always not afraid. I always wanted to make sure my children protected themselves. They knew self-defense. They knew how to protect themselves. So we put them in Taekwondo years ago. And I was very big on that. And even around the time when Ladanian had told us, they were fitting out about not wanting to go anymore. And one of the things I told him, I said, that's probably, a good tool you're going to need in the future, because you never know, if somebody just wants to hit you just because you're gay. So that was important to me, before even knowing. It was just my children being able to learn how to defend themselves or to get themselves out of a dangerous situation, especially being boys, especially being Black and Hispanic boys in the South. It was very important to me. So that's something that we did early on. And actually, it kind of pissed me off when he told us about it. I was like, you know how to protect yourself. Like, what? Why didn't you kick one of them? Why didn't you, But it's more the emotional piece, especially with that child being as emotional as he is. I couldn't imagine what he was feeling going through that. And I think as parents, just experience your children being bullied, period. I think it gets very emotional for the family. Just even hearing about it. Of course, the tears come to your eyes, everything. So we definitely let him know after he told us what happened, after the school year's over, we let him know, Papi, you have to let us know about these things because those are bigger situations that need to be handled. And so, what if there were other gay children in the school that were being bullied, and maybe you saying something? Yeah, yes, mommy's a little crazy, and daddy can get a little crazy too when he wants to, but we're not going to go into the school losing our minds. We know how to handle ourselves, and we could have went into the school and made a stand for him, the same way we had to do for our youngest when he had a tic disorder. And so it's just that those pieces are it's a lot to deal with bullying, period. I think as a parent, I think we've all been bullied at some point in our childhood. And so like JR was saying, the maturity and the last question that you had, I think it's important for them to be older and to protect that precious that Keita was talking about, because they can handle themselves better as a mature adult versus as a child. And I guess maybe, God, I don't even know. I guess I want to say just, implementing whatever words of encouragement you possibly can. I think it was very important for us to be as accepting as we can so he can stand in it differently. Because I think when children are afraid to come out to their parents, it makes it worse on the outside. And I guess I didn't get to finish that earlier either when I was saying that the one thing JR and I do greatly, I was very proud of us for him being able to come to us and tell us. I was like, damn, if I ain't did nothing right up in this motherfucking life, I know I did this right, okay? Just because he was comfortable enough to come to mom and dad and tell us. And so I think that gives him a little more of an advantage because he's more secure. I think he was definitely very much I don't want to say, he is more secure now as he gets older, basically. And that definitely proves for me that suggestion to nurture the precious and to allow them to be themselves. Yes, but to definitely nurture that precious until they get old enough to handle these situations, I guess, is what I'm saying. Jay?
Yeah, I think first off, I think it's a great starting point to where a kid can come to us or something like that. But what tends to happen a lot of times is things regress from there, and as things get tougher, it gets tougher for the kid to come to the parents, and they get more uncomfortable, either because of something that's going on with them or with the parents or outside. So I think the key thing is maintaining that those open airways where they still feel comfortable moving forward. So that's something we're also focusing on as well. When I had a talk with Darren, now one of the talks I've had with Darren, it was really just him. It's just something that's funny. I'd already said this to Ladine, and it was, Darren was saying that, with the bullying and being picked on because he was gay, he was like, what I came to realize was, if they didn't know I was gay, they was gonna pick on me, they was gonna bully me because I was fat, or they was gonna pick on me because I was light skinned, or they was gonna bully me because I was smart. So part of growing up, and kids are gonna bully you because they kids. That's what kids do. Sometimes that's what adults do, and usually it says more about them than it does about you. So that's just something, one, as the recipient of the bullying, you just have to understand that it ain't personal. Usually, it's usually an issue with them, and usually when it's bullying because because of homosexuality or sexuality, period, it's some kind of insecurity that person has. So it has nothing to do with you usually. You're just an easy target. So, but at the end of the day, again, as long as he feels protected by me and by his parents, especially by me, but as long as he feels protected and he feels safe here, and I mean here at home, and he has a safe space here, that's the most important thing that we can control. And knowing that if something does happen at wherever it is, you can come to us with anything and feel completely comfortable, and we're gonna always have your back. And unfortunately, right when he had those stories, nothing else ever came of it. And I think they had a conversation. Did you have a conversation with the assistant principal or something like that? Mm-hmm. And after that, they were shut down for COVID. So, but we are very comfortable in the fact that they both are able to come to us with anything.
I did want to add just something to this, and it was I don't remember if it was a meme or a TikTok or on Instagram or where I saw it, but it was definitely on social media, and it was about a mom, and this is random but still about the same thing. It was a mom, and she was on her phone on social media and just talking about everything she saw, everything she did, and then it showed, and she was with her daughter as it was going down, and then it showed a clip of her daughter in high school basically doing the same thing. And so it's just for parents, I guess, listening, to be mindful that of everything that we judge and we do and how that trickles down into our children. And it's just basic things. So if you're around the table with your girlfriends talking about what the next woman is doing, excuse my language, but I don't know why I'm saying excuse my language. I curse on this show all the time. It's my motherfucking show. But if you're worried about what another woman's doing with her pussy or what another man is doing with his dick, that's really not your business. It's never been our business, right? But I think we talk about it so freely, and I think that that's why it's an issue when it comes to homosexuality or being gay or lesbian or whatever, because people are worried about the wrong things. What someone does in the bedroom, what someone chooses, that's their business, period. And
I
so
say that all the time. It's like,
right,
why do I care who you fucking? Like that
you
has
have your own body
nothing
parts, right? And
nothing at
it's
all
very important to
to
worry
do
about
with me.
yours, right? And yours only. And it's just I think as parents, I know that we want to expose our children to a bunch of different things, right? Because we don't want them to be so incredibly sheltered. Well, I don't know all parents, but I know JR and I don't want them to be so incredibly sheltered, right? But I don't also want them to I would like for them to be more accepting versus being judgmental. And I work on that daily because I came from a very judgmental family. And so as I work on it with Ladine, I have those conversations with them so they can see. Do you know what I mean? I just think it's important for us to be better as parents so that they can be better as human adults. Seriously.
So does Ladanian go to the same school that he was at before the shutdown?
No, he's going into his first year of high school.
Are the children who were bullying him, do they attend his high school?
I'm not sure.
I would recommend that you find out.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do, you need to have a conversation with this new principal.
Yeah.
Make sure that she's aware, of what happened in the past. And not to say that it's going to continue, but in case it does, you know what I mean? Just.
Yeah, I don't think they will. He said he doesn't know anybody from his middle school that's going to his high school.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Thank you.
Okay. Cool beans, cool beans. All right, y'all.
And for all those trying to bully Dang Dang, no, there's glimpse that will travel. in a minute.
Anyway,
Just recognize. I'm just saying.
with grills and shit.
Don't play yourself. You don't want it. You don't want it. You have people named Muscle coming after you. You don't even need that. You don't need that.
D Block.
Okay, Biggie Black, all types of folks coming after you, son. You don't want it. You don't want it. You don't want
Crazy
this.
Reggie. You don't want it.
I'm saying. Either warning. Putting it out there.
Either way. All right, we got your back, Ladanian. Stand strong, stand strong. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us. Another great show. Parents, check in with your children. Just check in. See if there's anything you need to know.
Yes.
Make sure they know that they can tell you, love them, and accept them no matter what they say. It's important. Imagine, being fucked over outside your house, right? Like people saying ridiculous things to you, feelings getting hurt, and then not having a place to come home to.
A safe space, right?
A safe space that can be their refuge because they haven't been able to tell you. So, just check in with your babies. Check in with your babies. They need you. All right, y'all. We'll see you next week. Same time, same channel. Good night.
Good night, y'all.
Peace.